You think you're in control. You think it's just a habit, something you can stop whenever you want. But deep down, you already know it's not that simple. Addiction isn't what you do, it's what owns you. It doesn't need chains or cages. It only needs repetition until the repetition becomes religion. You wake up thinking it's still your choice, but the truth is, the choice has been gone for a long time. Addiction isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It hides behind your justifications. It wears your voice. And over time, you forget which thoughts are yours and which ones belong to it. The root of control. Every addiction begins the same way, with a promise of control. You start because you think it'll make you feel something. Calm, power, relief, escape. But the human brain doesn't distinguish between comfort and captivity. When something gives you temporary peace, your mind memorizes it. Dopamine rewards it. And that's how the cycle begins. Craving, reward, guilt, craving again. You don't repeat the act because it feels good. You repeat it because not doing it feels worse. That's the trap. Addiction doesn't hook you with pleasure. It traps you with pain relief, the invisible enemy. But here is where psychology becomes brutal. You're not addicted to a substance or a person or a screen. You're addicted to avoidance. Avoidance of pain. Avoidance of silence. Avoidance of the parts of yourself you don't want to see. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate." That's addiction. It's not the bottle. It's the emptiness you refuse to face. It's not the cigarette. It's the anxiety that silence brings. It's not the scrolling. It's the fear of stillness. The substance isn't the master. It's the messenger. It delivers the truth you keep avoiding, that you're not comfortable being alone with yourself. The shadow. Every time you escape, you feed the shadow, that buried self inside you that never learned how to sit with pain. It doesn't want healing, it wants distraction. It whispers, "You deserve this. You've earned it. Just one more time." And you believe it because it sounds like you. But that voice isn't you. It's the echo of unprocessed fear. That's what Jung meant when he spoke of the shadow. It's the part of you you've exiled, the anger, the grief, the shame. You don't destroy it by pretending it's gone. You integrate it by looking straight at it until it loses its power to manipulate you. Because what you refuse to face controls you, and what you face loses control. The mirror. Look closely at yourself. Every addiction is a mirror, not a punishment, a reflection. It shows you where your wounds live, and you hate it because it reveals the parts you've hidden the longest. That's why you keep breaking the mirror instead of cleaning it. You don't want to see what you've become, a person who trades their freedom for familiarity. You call it a habit, but it's worship. You call it escape, but it's surrender. You call it stress relief, but it's dependency disguised as self-care. The lie. The biggest illusion addiction creates is that it gives you identity. You start saying, "I am this way." You start defending it. You start building your personality around your wound. You wear your suffering like armor and call it authenticity. But it's not who you are. It's who you became when you forgot who you were. The lie addiction tells is comforting. You need me. The truth is the opposite. It needs you. It can't exist without your attention, without your repetition, without your silence. It feeds on your denial. Every time you say, "I'll quit tomorrow," it grows stronger today. The biology of bondage. Science can map it. Neural loops, dopamine surges, reward pathways, but none of that explains why you keep coming back even when you know the cost. Because this isn't just chemical, it's existential. Addiction replaces meaning. When you lose purpose, the brain seeks intensity. When you lack connection, it creates artificial comfort. It's not craving the high, it's craving relief from emptiness. You think you want pleasure, you really want peace. And because you can't find peace, you settle for numbness. That's the modern epidemic. Numbness disguised as comfort. The threshold. There comes a moment, sometimes small, sometimes catastrophic, when you realize the loop isn't ending. You've apologized too many times. You've broken too many promises. You've lost count of how many last times you've said, and still something inside you whispers just once more. That's when awareness begins, not when you stop, but when you finally see it for what it is. Addiction thrives in denial. The moment you name it, it starts to starve. The psychological truth: addiction isn't just a behavior, it's a relationship between you and your pain. The substance, the habit, the person, they're only bridges. They connect your fear to your need for comfort. You've mistaken anesthesia for healing, but anesthesia doesn't cure. It just numbs you until you forget you're bleeding. Psychologically, every addiction follows the same equation. Pain plus avoidance equals dependence. To break it, you must rewrite it. Pain plus awareness equals freedom. That's it. Not willpower, not punishment, awareness. Because willpower runs out. Awareness transforms. The war within. Addiction doesn't die peacefully. It screams. It bargains. It throws memories at you like knives. It tells you you're too weak, too late, too damaged. But that's just the parasite defending its home. It knows that once you stop feeding it, it dies. And when it dies, something terrifying happens. Silence. The same silence you've been avoiding all along. At first, it feels unbearable, but stay with it. That silence is not emptiness. It's space. A space where you can finally rebuild without lies. The rebirth. Healing doesn't start with motivation. It starts with disgust. The moment you can no longer tolerate your own repetition. It starts with honesty, when you admit that comfort has become a cage. And it starts with pain, because pain is information. It's your psyche saying, enough. You can't fix addiction by fighting it directly. You fix it by replacing it with purpose, with creation, with truth. Not a distraction, direction. You don't quit, you transform. Because every time you say no to the impulse, you say yes to the real you. The one that existed before the void. The one that remembers freedom not as a dream, but as a right. Addiction convinces you that salvation is outside. A new job, a relationship, a cure. But freedom never comes from outside. It begins when you face the mirror without flinching. When you stop saying, this is who I am, and start asking, who am I without this? That's when the parasite trembles, because for the first time, it sees you awake. Carl Jung once said, no tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. Addiction forced you into hell. Now use it to grow upward. The same intensity that destroyed you can rebuild you. The same mind that enslaved you can free you if you turn its focus inward. You don't need redemption. You need remembrance. You've been whole all along. You just forgot. Freedom doesn't mean craving again. It means no longer obeying the craving. It means walking past it, calm, aware, untamed. It means being able to sit in the silence that once terrified you. That's where power lives, not in control, but in understanding. Because once you see addiction for what it is, it can't trick you anymore. You'll still hear the whisper, but it will sound different, smaller, weaker, distant. You'll recognize it as what it always was, a scared voice that mistook pain for identity. And when that happens, you'll finally breathe, not as a survivor, but as someone reborn. No chains, no excuses, no masks, just truth. And that truth will hurt, yes, but pain isn't the enemy. It's the doorway. You don't heal by becoming pure. You heal by becoming real. And once you do, addiction doesn't end, it dissolves. It loses interest in you because you've stopped feeding it what it wants, your attention. So when the next craving comes, don't fight it. Watch it. Let it speak. And then let it pass. That's how you win, not by war, but by awareness. Because in the end, freedom isn't clean. It's raw, but it's real. And that's enough.